Well, today I guess I'm going to start working on this car. I'm going to start removing the transmission out of the car. So some of the first things I want to do is remove the battery and everything that's in the way of the transmission and this. I'm going to remove all of this air cleaner stuff and everything that's in the way, like I did with the Maxima a few years ago. So, and that's what I'm going to do first thing, remove everything that's in the way. And I'll probably take pictures and you'll see it. Okay, so far I removed the air cleaner assembly and everything to do with the battery. But with this, I just had to remove this from the tray. And I just have to move it out of the way and put it right here. That's what I'm doing. And with these, I had to disconnect these. The way I did that is using a screwdriver. Like this. It's like connected like this. And I just used a screwdriver to disconnect it. So that way I could, and then over here, well this is just going to be here. So far, I'll be removing these two bolts there, and I'll be removing this part too. And then pretty much everything will be moved out of the way already. And then I'll be planning on removing the motor mount. So far, this is my progress. I'm working on removing the starter. I found 2 bolts for the starter, one right there, and then there's another one behind it, behind the engine or the transmission there. There's another one behind it. I removed those 2 bolts, but it still doesn't come out. So there may be a third one. I'm going to be looking for it. But then while I was at it, I'm taking the motor mount out. I was able to remove these bolt 4 right here without much fight, but I still needed needed leverage there. But there's a bolt right here, down here. It's this one right here that I cannot access to using a ratchet, so I have to use one of these. And since it was really tight, I found a way that I could give leverage to this wrench by using one of these. The way I did it, I just put this right here between the wrench and the motor mount like that, and I just used it and I just pried it like that, and it gave me leverage. So at this point I took that one off using that, or using it that way, since this bolt is not accessible with the ratchet. So I was able to remove that bolt. So now it's just a matter of removing the motor mount. And I'm on a little delay because I needed the right size ratchet. I kept measuring 1/8 of an inch, but I got it, but it's not working. 1/8, so it has to be 1 3/16, because the 1 1/4 is too big. It's too big, and 1 1/8 is too small. So it's 1 3/16, or it might be a 30 millimeter. So I'm delayed on that part. So well, do look forward to getting hurt a little here and there. But right now I'm working on this motor mount, and I'm pulling this pin out, or this part out. But one thing though, you may need a little help on the motor mount, and the way you could do that is lifting up the engine a little bit, on the transmission side. Like that way you can get clearance, so that way you could see how that way it'll make it easier. See how the motor mount moves. So that way it can make it easier to remove bolts and stuff from that motor mount, or this one anyway. So Okay. So I just loosened the nut on the axle here, and you will need a 30 millimeter deep socket for the Sentra, because like the shallow socket will not go in all the way because of this protrudes too much. And you're gonna need a breaker bar as well. If you don't have a breaker bar, then a good quality ratchet will do. And if you have one of these, a pole like this, I had actually bought this to use it as a leverage bar. You put in the ratchet like that, and then you use this pole as a leverage bar. This has always worked for me. Always has. But the thing is that you have to have a quality ratchet though. Because if you don't have a quality ratchet, it'll break. Like this one did. You gotta have a quality ratchet if you don't have a breaker bar. But it's better, yeah, to buy one, you know. Well, anyway. So as of this point, I'm still working on this, and yeah. Well, so far all the tools that I used was this breaker bar, and then the pliers to pull the pin out, you know, for the axle there. That's all I did. And then I needed pliers, and these are all the tools that I used so far. That's all. So what I'm doing next is I removed the bracket here that holds the shift cable, and then I removed the shift cable from the transmission. And then this is the shift cable that hooked up over here. Basically it hooked up right here, this part. And then this bracket was hooked up on, it's being held on the transmission. So that's what I did next. So I just gotta move this out of the way. So far everything, all the wires are disconnected from the transmission. So basically, and then of course I unplugged all the little wires. I'll have to unplug it on the back as well too. I have to unplug. I took off this speed sensor off, but I may need to put it back on because of the fluid that's gonna spill out. I'm gonna see what happens next. Well, now that I got the axle nuts loose, now that they're loose, I put the car on jack stands, and then now I have it in the air. And then right now what I'm doing next is I'm removing the bolts for the strut here. I'm removing it so that way I could move this, like the strut assembly out of the way, or I could just pull this down. And I don't think I need to remove the ball joint or the tie rod like I did before, because I just need to move it out of the way so I could get the axle out. But I'll see if I will need it or not, need to remove. But anyway, by the way I'm removing these bolts without a fight is I got a 17-inch or 17 millimeter wrench to hold one bolt, and a 17 millimeter ratchet with a leverage bar like this, so that way I could take it off without a fight. It's a way to take it out without a fight. So that's what I'm doing now. So anyways, I already got the thing loose. So to get the axle out, you just go like this. You may have to pound a little with the hammer, but it's best that you use a piece of wood like this or anything to protect the threads. Because if you don't, it's going to be hard to put the bolt back on, or the nut, and you could damage it. And it'll make it really hard to put the nut back on. But anyway, so the way I'm going to be taking this, I'm going to demonstrate it right now. you may need a little clearance with this. So I'm just gonna turn this like that to make it extra length. May have to pound it a little bit. There you go. No, baby. There you go.
You're fixing our car?
Kind of.
You're really getting dirty.
Wow. So this axle, I was able to get it out without needing to remove all the stuff. So maybe it's a little tricky, but it'll come out though. You just keep trying, it'll come out. So that's it. Well, you know, for me, I always had a hard time with axles. Removing the axle on the driver's side, which is this one. I always have a problem with that, but I just managed to get it off using this hammer here, using it as a pry bar, and it just worked. I happened to have enough clearance to use one, and it worked. It worked for me, so like I had a hard time removing this axle here, but I finally did. Now, you know, they say that we just have to use a pry bar, which I did use, but I had a very difficult time, and look what I did over here. Well, this transmission has to be either rebuilt, or I could just put in a good used one or something. I'm just gonna, that's it, finally got it out. So as of now, I jacked up the transmission a little bit, because I need to remove the motor mount right here. Evidently, this motor mount needs to be removed. See this motor mount, right? All these little brackets here. Hey, it's leaking. So, see the brackets? So like I have to remove this bolt right there, and then this like whole motor mount. The entire assembly needs to be removed. See, there's all the screws right there. That everything has to be removed, along with the motor. Well, the motor mount, well, I think everything has to be removed. And then about the starter, it's 2 bolts. It's 2 bolts, but I had a little fight trying to get it out, but I just wiggled it, and it finally came off. But the starter, it could stay there. It could stay there as far as I'm concerned, because it doesn't have to be out of the car for the transmission to fall off. So that's what I'm doing. That's where I'm at this moment. Well, anyways, I'm gonna call it the night for right now. But anyway, so tomorrow I just gotta do that motor mount. I think all I need is that motor mount, and then that's it. And I just unbolt the transmission, and I'm not sure how it's removed from the flywheel, but I'll find out. Okay. So there's the motor mount, the little brackets that I'm removing this bracket here. And there's one bolt up there, and there's another one below. Well, this one actually hooks the engine to the transmission. And then there's the bracket. And then down here, this is a bolt. And here's another bolt. But the only way to access this bolt is to raise the transmission with the jack. That way the motor mount will come loose there. So that's the only way. And they're all 14 millimeters. So I'm working on it right now. And then the starter right there. This is the tool that I was able to remove it with. It's this ratchet here. This is the tool I use. So I'm able to access it like this through the piping right there, and then like that. See, I'm able to access it like this. So, well, evidently I found out that the cross member is gonna need to be removed. It's necessary to remove the cross member because I'm gonna need to be able to access in here so I could get into the bolts of the torque converter and the flywheel there. And then I need to remove this motor mount, but I just need to remove the bolts. Just these bolts, that's it. And then I guess the cross member needs to be removed to be able to remove the other motor mount as well, since the bolts are in like this. Since this part is welded in, and the only way to remove it is to get it on the other side. And that's the way that motor mount is. And also on that bracket there, I found out that there's a fifth bolt, or fourth or fifth bolt, and the only way to access that is to remove that motor mount. And to get that motor mount and to access the bolts on the motor mount, this cross member has to be removed on that side. So I'm going to do that now. 17 millimeters. And it does help. It's really helpful to have a ratchet that bends like this, because I need this to be able to go in here like this. You need to be able to access it like this. It's easier. Okay, all. Well, I've been working on the cross member now with the jack lifting up the transmission and holding it there. I'm gonna need another jack to lift up the engine as well, because when I'm letting down the transmission, I'm gonna need something to hold the engine. But actually, I have this pull, and I'm gonna use this part right here to chain it up or put something so the engine can stay up on that. But anyway, with the cross member that I removed on the back already, it actually sort of fell down, but it's nothing to worry about though. And then I just got to remove these, and now the how I call it, cross member will fall off, so that way I can access in here now. I could access here and other parts that I need to. And while you're at it, it's really highly recommended that you replace motor mounts or anything that looks bad. Like this motor mount looks kind of bad, so I'm going to be replacing that, so I don't have to do that later on. So I'm still working. So now I got the cross member out, and then, well, I guess I could see that maybe it would have been. This is the first time I'm doing it on this car, so yeah, every car is different. But anyway, it probably would be a good idea to remove the cross member first, so that way you don't have to go through the hassle of accessing the other parts. But actually, it doesn't matter really. But it looks to me that the cross member does need to be removed to access this motor mount, since the bolts are on this side. And there's no way we could access it. And even if we were able to, there probably wouldn't be any clearance for that bolt to come out, because everything getting in the way. How this, because this part attaches to the firewall of the car. So this motor mount is bad. So I'm going to go ahead and replace that part as well, since I have it out. I don't want to have to go through it again. So this is the way it looks right now. So this is the other motor mount that I didn't have to. That one is easy to do, by the way. So this, as you see it, this is the pan. This is like the part that I'm going to need to get into, because I'm going to need to access the bolts And this has to be removed. Just this bolt. And this bolt has to be removed. And that's it. Okay, after loosening this bolt here, if I could show it, after loosening this bolt, I only need to loosen, I don't need to remove it. No, wait a minute, no, not that. Here's this bolt back here, this one back here, that one right there. After loosening that one, the one that goes to here, I was able to loosen it. And then I was able to just pry this up a little bit. I don't know if I have it down or not. It's hard to read. Well, anyway, after doing this a little bit, now the pan, this little part comes off now. So that way I could access the bolts to the torque converter. So that way, because that's what's actually holding the transmission in, or that's what actually holds the flywheel to the whole transmission anyway. So that's it. Now, so what I did here, I got this bolt off. It was not even on that tight, but I still needed the little leverage bar. This one, it was like that one that I have. It's similar to that. Anyway, and I used this ratchet. I used this one right here with the swivel because it's not enough clearance for this head, that ratchet head, to sit straight, because it goes in crooked. So I have to use a swivel one to get a good grip. Now, what I did is I used a screwdriver here. This one right here. I used a screwdriver and I put it over here, like put it on the teeth to keep the flywheel from turning while I'm trying to get that bolt off. So what I'm doing, and I was able to use any screwdriver just to move the flywheel to the next bolt. It's easy to move it too. It's not hard. I mean, it's easy to move it. So it's really easy. So you don't have to worry about it. You don't need to start cars or anything. And here's the other bolt. You can almost do it with your hand, but actually no, you can't. It's even better to use a screwdriver or anything like that. Like that. It works for me. And there's the other bolt. And it's 4 total. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the screwdriver here, like on the teeth of the gears of the flywheel there. Like put it in between there. If I could show it. Like that, and then you just slide the screwdriver. Like that. You just slide it in there, see? Slid in there. And it holds it and prevents the flywheel from turning when I'm trying to remove this bolt. Now I'm going to do this again. See, this is how I did it. Well, this bolt is on kind of tight, so we need that leverage bar to take it off. So, well anyways, that's how I'm doing it. So anyways, all in all, I probably don't think this job is not hard. It's not hard. It's just like the same principles as removing a starter about maybe 5 times, kind of like, it's not hard, to do. Because there was no special tools needed or anything, a lot of people would think of that, but that's not the case. So as of now, I had already finished removing the 4 bolts on the torque converter. I removed the 4 already, and now don't forget to remove the transmission lines. Now that I removed the transmission lines, as you see it, Now that I removed it, the transmission, as far as I'm concerned, is ready to be dropped. But just don't forget to remove anything else that's attached to it, though. Like this, I have to remove this. And this, too. And then, as I see it, it's about 4 bolts. There's only 4 that I could see on here. 1, 2, let's see, 1 down there. Another 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's only 4 that I see. It's all I see, so I just got to remove those 4, and the transmission's ready to be dropped. I don't mean that literally, though. I don't have a transmission jack, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to find a way to drop it, like with a jack. Or I'll just probably make one or something. So as of this point, I'm dropping the engine a little, so that way it'll be easier for the transmission to get out. So what I've done here, and then as of this point, see, the transmission's ready to come out. I removed 3 bolts, and it's just 1 more bolt to remove. And only 1 more, and it's ready to come out. It's ready. So I did more. I just removed a few more things that was attached to it, and this was one of them. I removed this, and I drained the fluid, and that's unquestionably something that you're going to need to do. You will need to drain the fluid. Of course, this is the first time I'm ever doing this, the first time I'm doing it with automatics, removing an automatic transmission. To me, overall, I think it's probably maybe slightly easier with an automatic to remove an automatic transmission as compared to a stick shift. Because with the stick, we have to remove some bars that connect the stick shift lever to the transmission. Baby. Of course, we got my little kid that likes to either help or just likes to explore there. So I'm getting ready. And then this jack here, I have 1 jack, this jack holding the engine, and this jack holding the transmission. And I'm thinking that I'm going to go ahead and put pieces of wood instead of this jack to catch the transmission, so to speak. But I don't have a transmission jack, and it would be really helpful if I had one. But I don't have one, so it's going to have to drop. Ready to drop. See that transmission? Hard to see it with this phone, though. See that spot right there? Ready to drop. No, baby. Ready to drop. Only 1 screw left. So as I see it, the transmission already dropped. It already fell. It fell off. So now it's ready to go. It's ready to go. Either get it rebuilt, or here's a torque converter. It just fell off. Just fell out. Yeah. Okay, here we have it. See, there's the 5th bolt of that motor mount bracket that I needed to put. See, there's the 5th bolt, but the only way to access that was to remove the crossmember. Over here, I don't see any broken input shafts or anything. So I still wonder what happened, but I'm probably thinking that the planetary gears gave up or something, and that's it. Yeah. So there's the transmission of the car. It's really, really heavy. Super heavy. That's a bad thing, though. So as you see it, it's gonna be needed to get a transmission jack to put it on, because there's no way it could be put on without one. Wow. Okay, Okay, here's the transmission. All I have to say is this is it's very heavy. It's a heavy transmission. It's really heavy. So, but the thing that's really highly recommended to do is to take the transmission in and get it rebuilt or overhauled. It's probably better rebuilt, but overhauled. But it probably would not be advisable to put a used one in there because, all the work that we went through, we would have to do it again if the transmission was bad again. But yeah, go ahead and put a used one if you're going to sell the car. If you just want to get it running to sell it, yeah, go ahead. But even then, you got to be sure that it's actually in good condition or that it's in working condition first before you put it in. So that's it. So it's all I'm going to do for now. I don't know when I'm going to get a new one or anything. I'm just going to decide what to do. I had nothing else to do, so that's why I did it. So if you have all the tools, you can estimate about maybe 4 hours of work to take it out. If you have all the tools, like if you don't have to be fighting, if you don't have to be playing hide and go seek with tools and having to go to stores because you don't have it, it could take about 4 hours. Yeah, well, this one, overall, I think it was probably about the same amount of work as the Max because I had to remove the Crossmember on this car, but on the Max that I did not have to. On the 1996 Maxima, I didn't have to remove the Crossmember, so it did make it easier. Yeah. Well, anyway, and that's it. So, just one more shot of the transmission. It's hard for me to know what's broken in this transmission that's causing it not to go at all. So, just yet to see.